There are games about everything and anything, and Christmas is no exception. However, how do you make a good Christmas game? It's hard. So hard that there's a plethora of very weird Christmas games. So here's the 10 weirdest ones we found. Snatcher is a cyberpunk adventure game written by Hideo Kojima and originally released in 1988. In 1992, it was remade, and this version appeared on several platforms since then. Snatcher told the story of Gillian Seed, a man with amnesia fighting against robots called Snatchers. While the story itself has nothing to do with Christmas, it is set during the holiday season. Not only that, but one of your allies is disguised as Santa Claus. Its use of Christmas isn't nearly as weird as some of the games on this list, but for being a pretty crazy game set during Christmas, it made the cut. This one is a DLC instead of a full game, but someone decided that the best thing for the crazy open world gameplay of Saints Row 4 was a holiday special. How the Saints Save Christmas is the second DLC pack for Saints Row 4. It features a strange story where Santa Claus is trapped in the game simulation. The main character doesn't care enough to help him, and so the Saints try to teach him the true meaning of Christmas. In addition to holiday-themed weapons and a Christmas setting, it is also filled with Christmas references. The DLC's name, How the Saints Save Christmas, is a reference to Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas. The mission, Miracle on 3rd Street, refers to the Christmas movie Miracle on 34th Street. The fight before Christmas comes from the night before Christmas, and of course, the Santa Claus is a reference to Santa Claus. Other shoutouts include references to the movie A Christmas Story, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Die Hard, and The Empire Strikes Back. Well, we never said it only had Christmas references. Sega's action game Nights into Dreams came out in 1996, and they promoted it with a sampler disc during the holiday season, included with certain magazines and Sega Saturn games. But this sampler disc wasn't just the demo, it was set during Christmas, and Clarice and Elliot go on a quest to find a missing star. It features the first stage of CLAUS' dream, where you play as Elliot to experience a new stage path available only through the sampler. And that isn't the only thing exclusive to this demo. It also includes special bonus modes, a mode where you play as Sonic the Hedgehog, and time-based events that make use of the Sega Saturn's internal clock. Depending on what time of the year you play, the menu screen will refer to the game as Christmas Nights, Winter Nights, New Year's Nights, or Nights, Limited Edition. Santa Claus appears on Christmas, the music and story are different on Christmas, and the snow changes based on the time of day. These are just a few reasons why fans of Nights into Dreams often consider Christmas Nights into Dreams to be a separate game, rather than a demo. A Christmas-themed demo with so many exclusive features is pretty strange, but there are weirder Christmas games still. The 1993 Christmas movie The Nightmare Before Christmas is pretty popular, and in 2005, Capcom made a video game sequel called Oogie's Revenge. Set 1 year after the events of the movie, Oogie Boogie's allies bring him back to life. He takes control of Halloween Town, imprisons Sally, and captures several other holiday leaders. Sally manages to get a message to Jack, who's been off searching for new ways to make Halloween special, and he returns on Christmas Eve to stop Oogie Boogie once and for all. On the surface, this isn't such a strange game, even if it isn't common for a video game to be a sequel to a movie rather than an adaptation. Any weirdness in its story comes from its subject matter. What makes it stand out though, is its gameplay. It is an action game, and when Capcom started to work on it, they clearly took inspiration from one of their big action series. Oogie's Revenge plays like an easier, kid-oriented Devil May Cry. A Nightmare Before Christmas game with Devil May Cry gameplay and an original story set after the movie? Well, stranger things have happened, and we're about to get to them. Holiday Star is the sequel to the infamous HATOFUL Boyfriend, a game about dating sentient birds. The sequel drops all dating elements in favour of being a strict visual novel, and is set during the holidays. Once again, playing as the only human student at the all-bird school of St. Pigeonations, you'll go through a selection of zany experiences such as unravelling the mystery of a group of thieves stealing Christmas trees, defending the school from a mad scientist wielding an otaku-powered laser cannon, and struggling to escape a deadly dream world called the Holiday Star, where souls are trapped forever and forced to remember all the suffering they went through in life. I did say it was weird, right? Now, let's take a look at some games that really focus on Christmas themes, rather than make them simple and straightforward. That focus seems to make them weirder. After the success of James Pond, a platformer starring an anthropomorphic mud skipper turned secret agent, the developers went on to make a sequel in 1991. What is the natural subject matter for a platforming game that parodies James Bond films? Santa's Workshop, of course. In James Pond 2, codename ROBOCOD, the villainous Dr. Maybe retreats to the North Pole and takes over Santa's workshop. He takes Santa's helpers hostage, turns others into his evil minions, and prepares to enact his evil plan. James Pond, wearing a special robotic suit called ROBOCOD, heads to Santa's workshop to stop his nemesis once and for all. It also features product placement, one of the earliest examples of in-game advertising in video games, which just makes this Christmas-themed spy adventure feel all the weirder. The 1998 PC game Elf Bowling presents Santa Claus with a dilemma. The elves have gone on strike, so no one will make the toys for Christmas. So what does Santa do? Does he go on a quest to make the elves happier? Does he rush to make the toys himself? Does he hire new employees to take over at the workshop? Nah, he just goes bowling and uses the elves as bowling pins. Santa getting his revenge by knocking down unhappy elves with a bowling ball is pretty weird to begin with, but it only gets worse. You can knock out reindeer, a rabbit sometimes poops in the middle of the bowling lane, and the angry elves moon you. Right, Elf Bowling isn't quite a Christmas game for all ages, but if this wackiness sounds appealing to you, you'll be happy to know that it has sequels. The sequels, believe it or not, get even weirder, with gameplay elements involving thongs, Mrs. Claus's bras, and fart power. Santa's elves apparently also have a grudge against him in the 1990 game Santa's XMAS Caper, where they drug his pudding on Christmas Eve and leave him unable to fly his sleigh. Do game developers just assume Santa and his elves don't get along? With Santa out of the commission, it's your job to make sure the presents get delivered. In this side-scrolling game, you must throw snowballs at everyone who wants to get in the way of successful present delivery. Evil snowmen, penguins, malevolent candy, inexplicable beach balls, and flying trains? Maybe the elves are trying to protect Santa. And just to make things more confusing than they have to be, there is a different game called Santa's Christmas Caper that sends Santa on a quest to collect presents from Lapland and plays like a 2D Mario game. But whether you're looking at Santa's Xmas Caper or Santa's Christmas Caper, it's going to be a pretty bizarre Christmas game either way. While the title might make you wonder if Days Before Christmas is another tale of Santa being drugged, this 1994 game returns to the idea of Santa's workshop being taken over. This time, the culprit is an evil snowman who captures the elves and the reindeer. If Santa wants to save them and defeat the snowman, he'll need to fight his way through giant rats, malevolent toys, and snowmen who take off their heads to use as weapons. Santa can use magic to turn his enemies into presents, open gifts scattered throughout the levels for upgrades and other bonuses, and shoot out fire to melt any ice that blocks his path. But if he really wants to overcome his enemies, he'll need to make use of his secret power. When Santa Claus drinks coffee, he transforms into Anti-Claus, an invincible demonic version of himself who bludgeons enemies to death with his bag of toys. So far, Santa has dealt with spies, vulgar elves, drugged pudding, and his own dark transformation. But there is one Christmas game that manages to be weirder than everything we've looked at so far. In 2002, the PlayStation and Game Boy Advance were graced with this bizarre title, Santa Claus Saves the Earth. On Christmas Eve, Santa is getting ready to deliver presents to children around the world, when an evil fairy named Nilam kidnaps him, transports him to another world, and imprisons him. Armed with only snowballs and a bag of toys, Santa sets out to escape Nilam's world and return home. Keep in mind, not much else about this game is Christmas themed. The world is desert-like, with sand and pyramids. You fight everything from cowboys to minotaurs. You almost have to wonder why they made it star Santa Claus at all. But whatever the reason was, it's a game about Santa battling an evil fairy in another world. And that's enough to name it the #1 weirdest Christmas game. I hope you enjoyed this week's list, and if you did, leave a like. And if you want to see more lists now, click here for my top 10 Pokemon made creepier by Alolan Pokédex entries, or here for the top 10 games within games.